If I find a clip with Bernie Sanders saying the same thing, I'm going to play it for you and deliver some flows. There'll be no difference. Democrat, Republican, Independent, it makes no difference. This is the record. Why hasn't she been called to the carpet on this? Why hasn't Anderson Cooper sat down with her when she goes on Meet the Press, when she goes on MSNBC? Why don't they play this clip and say, hey, Clinton, Hillary, can you explain this?
Not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel. Not just gangs of...
No conscience, no empathy. This is before Columbine. She was talking about you. This is 1994. She was talking about you, your brothers, your sisters. Not just gangs of kids, which give us the ration. See, in the last 20 years, there's been a huge push to now criminalize minors, right, and charge them as adults. Remember this.
Kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids.
Not just kids anymore. They're super predators. Hey, I'm here to tell you that here in Hamilton County, it seems like some folks are still running with that. They think that your kids are super predators here in the city of Cincinnati today. And she's a Democrat. Who needs Republicans if Democrats are acting like this? That is amazing. That's amazing. Let me move on. Anybody get a chance to see PBS last night, the Black Panther documentary? I confess to you, I did not watch it in its entirety. I had to make sure the little Buddha got a chance to watch the beginning of it. I said, girl, come in here. Come in here. And she was all slow about it with her device in her hand. She finally came to me after too long a time. You're going to watch this. This is the Black Panthers. She was like, Black Panthers? You mean a superhero? Now, part of me was happy because I had to let her know there are black comic book superheroes. And at the top of the list is the Black Panther. I was like, no, little Buddha, no. The Black Panthers. Look, so she watched a little bit of it. We'll catch the rest of it later on today. If you missed it, I'll give you the times. But here's a trailer.
We don't hate nobody because of their color. We hate oppression.
It happened at just the right time. People began to speak up through what we now call the Civil Rights Movement. The Black Panther Party was part of this.
Young people came together against the odds, some would say against any reason. The Panthers understood that we could talk about liberation, freedom, revolution, but freedom to someone who is hungry is actually a hot meal. Liberation to someone who is homeless is a place to stay. So the Panthers had breakfast programs, health clinics. This is what it means in practical terms to work for your liberation.
Those brave people were truly in service of humanity. It wasn't romantic. It was difficult. Parts of it were horrific. And yet we kept serving.
It's not hatred. It's not bravado. It is an undying love and understanding that you're part of something bigger than yourself.
All the passion that we had is here again today. The whole story is yet to be told.
There is no expiration date on dreams, and there's no start date for activism.
Right there. That is dope. That's American history. And, you know, again, props to Beyonce for pushing the name Black Panther Party out there front and center in a way that only a pop star can. Some of y'all feel me on that. In a way that only a pop star, only an entertainer can. I mean, part of the reason why that moment was so special is because only an entertainer is given those moments where millions, tens, hundreds of millions of people are watching your performance. And Beyonce chose that moment to make a point and stand up for black people. Harry Belafonte need to shut the hell up, period. I don't see anybody else doing that. And you got to keep in mind, she's not a revolutionary. She was an entertainer. And when you're a black entertainer and you appear to be too black, then it can be a consequence. It could be a consequence. I mean, for black politicians, there is a bargain that goes on with members of the electorate. And that is, if you don't come off as too black, we won't treat you that way. A lot of black politicians have to appear to transcend race just to get support. And it's the same thing can be said for entertainers, even more so in that case. But speaking of Beyonce, did you watch that SNL clip? That is hilarious. This is funny as hell. I had to play it for you.
For white people,
not all of it.
It was just another great week. They
like every
never
other week.
saw it coming. They had no warning. Then, the day before the Super Bowl, it happened.
Beyonce released a new music video that embraces her black heritage.
The Beyonce video is unapologetically black.
Tribute to the Black Lives Matter movement.
Case for a black message.
Claims her blackness like never before.
Honey, get in here!
Video yet.
What is it? What's wrong?
Black.
Out of nowhere.
I think Beyonce is black.
The day Beyonce turned black.
Guys, I don't understand this new song.
Hot sauce in my bag swag? What does that mean? Maybe the song isn't for us.
But usually everything is!
It was the day that shook the whole white world.
You can't tell me that's not hilarious.
We have to go!
Find it online or on my Facebook page to watch the rest of it. I won't play it all here unless you really, really want me to. But I don't think you do. That is hilarious. But everything is for us. That is funny. And I'm glad that SNL can laugh about it. That's the role that it should play. But I want to get your thoughts about what's happening on. Again, on one hand, Hillary Clinton is making what appears to be a very sincere appeal to the black electorate. And as a member of the black electorate, okay, I want to pay attention to it. I want someone to pay attention to my concerns. I want someone to ask me what I want as a member of the electorate, of course, as we all should. A lot of folks are saying it's the first time ever. You got Bernie Sanders and then you got Hillary Clinton trying to claiming that they're going to be the better friend or the better advocate for the black electorate. But at this moment right here, what do you think? What do you think? And, should we really hold this against Hillary?
Kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators.
Super predators.
No conscience, no empathy. We can talk about why they ended up that way, but first we have to bring them to heel.
So when are we going to start talking about what made them that way? I mean, that was 1994, and that was 22 years ago, and we still haven't had that conversation. Okay, so when do we get to why we see certain types of people in this country committing certain types of crime? Is it historical? Are there other factors? Is there anything that we today, the government, whatever, can play to deal with that? We still haven't had it. Since 1994, what we've seen is a rise in the prison population, primarily of African Americans, primarily for low-level drug use. We've seen the 3 strikes laws. People have lost their lives because they've committed 3 felonies, even when those felonies were for relatively minor offenses. I've seen many reports, primarily from PBS, quite honestly, in which they talked about a man in California who his 3rd strike was he stole something for Walmart that was like $20. And boom, he got a life sentence. Is that fair? Does that make any sense? And if Hillary Clinton and the Clintons were so wrong about that in 1994, and it caused such a problem, then can we ever trust them moving forward? I'll be honest with you folks, and you might not look at it this way, but I look at the Bush administration and the Clinton administration through a very similar lens. They seem very similar to me. They both now have family members that are trying to get your vote. And when their family members were in office, they both caused a lot of problems. A lot of problems. The only difference, whether this is small or whatever, between the Clintons and the Bush family is at least Bill Clinton apologized. The Bush family still run around acting like they did the right thing by going into Iraq and getting a lot of people killed, maimed, disfigured, or homeless, displaced, orphaned, and otherwise, in other deplorable states and conditions, right, of the human experience. And they won't apologize for that. They did the right thing. But what do you think? Wanda writes, is giving the white heroin users three strikes as well? They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. No. The heroin users, America has learned its lesson. We realized that we treated the crack cocaine victims badly, and I don't think anybody's trying to recreate that at this point. Not at this point. Not that they get a pass, but, America is a better place now, right? James Wright, Nate, yes, it parallels a lot going on today, some 40 years later, with BLM in some ways. It is. Black Lives Matter. Back in the day, you had Black Panther Party, right? Now you got Black Lives Matter. So in 40 years, African Americans, if you want to view it this way, have made a lot of strides. You cannot argue against that. I mean, hell, you can live in neighborhoods now you never lived in before. Nobody's overtly harassing you, at least not in the way that we've seen in those black and white films from back in the day. But yet many would say that there's still some greater strides, and we all admit that. I mean, just look at the numbers in terms of the city dealing with minority contractors. There's still a ways to go. How much should we hold against
Not just gangs of kids anymore.
How much should we hold this from Hillary? How much of an impact, or to Hillary, how much of an impact did that really have? Listen to this.
They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators. No conscience.
Super predators, no conscience. Now, I've never heard Hamilton County Prosecutor Joe Dieters use those terms, to be fair. But in terms of the way I hear a lot of people talking about crime, it seems very similar. You don't hear the term super predator, but you hear an incredible lack of empathy, unconscious. There's no conscience with these individuals. All we can do is lock them up in cages for the rest of their natural lives. That's it. And I, for one, think that there's been a tremendous impact. I think it's still an impact today to what the Clintons started back in 1994. They got in bed with the law enforcement establishment to get votes. Let's be real. Back in 1994, the Clintons got in bed with the law enforcement establishment for the part of the electorate that gravitates to those kind of associations, and they sold black youth down the river, period, for votes. And, hey, they get good people with good hearts. They realize now it led to an incarceration holocaust. But, hey, now Hillary's willing to do the right thing. Really? What does that mean exactly? What does that mean exactly? You tell me. Did anybody get a chance to watch the Black Panther trailer? Did you see it? If so, what did you think of it? Do you think that it should be, and I quite honestly believe this, like just judging my daughter last night, we were talking about it, and she was like, Black Panther Party? She had no idea. I'm thinking this girl's 10 years old. How can she go to what people call one of the better public schools in Cincinnati, and they're not even teaching her the Black Panther Party? And she's a little black girl. I want to say this again. I'm challenging a lot of assumptions here in the city and throughout. My daughter attends what a lot of people would think is one of the better sort of magnet schools in the city, one of the better public educations that you can get here. We had to sit out in line for days and days and days for her to get into that school. What have they taught her about the Black Panther Party? So now I have to go in and talk with her teacher about that. Because as a conscious black man who cares about his daughter, I want to make sure that he understands that I understand that there's a hole in their education. I want them to fix that. Again, what school does your child attend? Does your child attend what they would call a good school? How can it be a good school if the kids aren't being properly educated about all aspects of the history? Okay, all aspects of it. I'm not saying you got to focus on one part or the other. For me, I believe it's all important. But what do you think? What do you think? People are chiming in about Hillary Clinton. My bad on the mic there. I keep hitting it. People are chiming in on Hillary Clinton. B writes, Nate, I agree. The majority of politicians, are fake. As Obama couldn't address the unarmed black shootings in the United States. How in the hell can we expect Hillary to do something for the advancements of blacks? Well, I'll be honest with you. That's a good question, B, and you make a lot of good sense. And the answer is Not too much. I mean, until we quantify and clearly define what that means in terms of advancing black people, what does that even mean?